4 o'clock and we are live. See, I managed to do it. Got in here on time. And there's nobody here. But we made it. You should be listening live to make sure everything's sounding right. What's this? This isn't awkward. Well, it's kind of weird. Get it more centered. I just folded that whole thing up.
Did you? Like smacking you in the face?
Yes. This is how we'll do live. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Okay. I don't even know if that makes a difference. Black Friday. Yeah, we got a new system set up. So we got the microphone. Obviously, usually you guys don't even see the microphone. It's over here off to the side. We've redone everything. So because I wanted to have a better audio. So it appears everything's working right so far. Howdy, how's it going, Glenn? And sounding good. Yes, I hope it sounds good. I'm hoping we're not, and Trevor's going to monitor this, is one of the problems with the old microphone was you could hear the room. And so if I lean way back, you can hear the room kind of in this audio space. And I wanted to have something where I could move up closer and speak to and have a much warmer sound. And I'm thinking this will do it. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. So hopefully, and then we'll have the people that say, I can't hear you, be done, everybody, with all that. David Keith. And the man who gave me a gator head. So there you go. So I hope everybody had. Okay, Kathy Chandler, which I take it is my mother-in-law. So your grandma listens to our thing? Does she? You're supposed to be coming over here to eat. Suddenly it dawns on me. I don't know if she's ever done that. It's kind of awkward, weird now. Now we can't talk about her. So there we go. This is how I know when it will be time to come over. So she won't come over to eat till we finish. So that was actually, it was thrown out to me that we'll eat at 4. And I was like, we can't eat at 4. Why? And then Trevor's like, yeah, why can't we eat at 4? And then Trevor came up with 4:15. We can eat at 4:15. So literally we'd be almost trying to wrap things up already. But no, I said, no, we missed a week. Because I had the wrong days. Then last week, I thought something disconnected the computer, or something was wrong with the computer. What it was is either myself or the dogs down below actually hit a switch and turned all the audio stuff off. That's pretty funny. The problem is it didn't used to happen because we used to actually have a lap steel guitar case where I don't even know where that. But it used to be down here at our feet, so we couldn't kick any of the cords or any of the switches down below. So if you moved around with the dogs, nobody could get anything. And we moved that out of the way. It's over here to my left. So because we moved that, now you'll be moving your feet around, you can actually knock this off. So we got to work on that. But that created me saying we're going to get a longer cord and bring the audio over here and set this up more simply. And I think it's better now. So there we go. And there we go. So hello, and Arizona Gold Hunter. And we're all here, and it's just the day after Thanksgiving. Most people had their turkey, and I had 2 or 3 fully loaded baked potatoes. I ate something else, but I ate some ham. And I ate a lot of chocolate pie. So there you go. So hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. And here we are, another week. And so I apologize. We missed the one because it was being off a Friday and a 3-day week. And it completely had me in bizarre land. And I thought Friday was Saturday. And I was completely discombobulated. And I didn't even pay attention. But we came back last week, but then we had the technical difficulty. So now we come back this week and we're fine. So we got everything back in, and everything's starting to roll again. And you'll notice some things a little bit in the background change. We have the drums over here because today was the day the Christmas tree went up. The Christmas tree went up where the foosball table goes, but the foosball table went where the drums are. So then the drums, part of the drums came in here. And so for storage purposes. And then the keyboards moved up. So there's a tom down here. So how's it sound? Does it sound? Can you hear the room? What do you mean?
This is good.
Is it? Is it?
All right.
What do you mean? Not warm enough? No. Okay. No, I'm not getting any feedback.
The audio on this isn't always the best.
I know. That's what I'm wondering. Is because I want to find a way to get warmer audio,
Well, I think it's
or else I'll just start having to wear an earbud or something so I can hear it and kind of. We could always run it through the board, possibly, and then I could monkey with it and do special effects. I don't think any of us expected an apology. You do plenty. Well, it wasn't really an apology. It was just an excuse. Making excuses. But, yeah, we're back and everything rolling forward. We made our big trips. We had our trips to Wilcox and the Dragoon Mountains and Cochise Stronghold and Dragoon and Benson and Texas Canyon, which is in Arizona, which I think I've clarified with a few people that asked where it is. It's a place called Texas Canyon, and it's actually in Arizona because all the people that first came in there, Texas, and we went to the Texas Canyon, and we went and saw The Thing, and what else did we do? That was about it. We ate at Unitas. Was it Unitas?
Huh?
The Mexican restaurant, Unitas in Wilcox. What was the name of the place? Unitas? Yeah, he's looking it up. Anyways, they had some pretty good food. We ate out on the outdoor patio.
La
Unica.
Unica.
La Unica. He says it better than I do. Anyways, we had Sonoran hot dogs. So Trevor and I both. And it was pretty good. Pretty good. Actually, food was pretty good, wasn't it? And then we went to the Rex Allen Cowboy Hall of Fame and Museum. And then there's the Chiricahua Museum. And then we were in Texas Canyon at the Merind, which is AMERIND Museum. And we did a lot of stuff on Instagram and Facebook. We posted pictures of all that stuff. And then we went and visited The Thing. Greg Davis chose not to. He ate a dilly bar. That was his big moment. But we went in, and Trevor and I went down. Really cool because they have these life-size dinosaurs and all this kind of cool stuff. And they have this whole storyline built on the aliens and stuff. And it was kind of a neat thing that they blame everything and all the changes in society and the dinosaurs had like headgear that the aliens controlled them and stuff. It was kind of funny, but it was really cool. And then at the end, they have The Thing. Much different than I heard it originally was, which was like truck trailers or something, exhibits and stuff. But it's actually kind of cool. And I think it's only like $2. So you can spare $2 and do that stuff. So it's a wonderful trip. Absolutely. It was a fun trip. It was a fun trip with Greg. Greg hadn't been to Cochise Stronghold since 1956, I think he said. So it'd been close to 70 years since he was there with his parents. He said he drove there in the summertime in 56, no AC in the truck or in the car. And they got out there and there was nothing there, and his dad was totally disappointed. Now there's a campground and a lot of signage and some other stuff. So we had a good time there. So it was kind of cool to watch him get out of you could tell there was a lot going through his head, kind of thinking back, almost 70 years ago, being there with his brother and his mom and dad and the whole thing, from a child to now where he is now. So that was a very cool trip. And then as we left, there was a big thunderhead came through. We got good storm on us as we left out of there and went through Apache Pass and kind of. It was very cool. It was kind of odd to get there. It seems like it's a kind of an odd kind of route in. We went from Texas Canyon down a dirt road, then through Dragoon, which doesn't have much in it. I don't even know if they have an operating. I think they have a store restaurant thing there, but it didn't appear to be much in Dragoon anymore. And then you go around the mountains. But that was really cool. Very, very pretty back in there. Very cool, weather-wise. And we had a blast, And then we noticed on the way out there was a rattlesnake museum. Did they call it ranch? And that's where they raise rattlesnakes for anti-venom, and they have a rat breeding thing for the rats, for the rattlesnakes. And they do stuff for rattlesnakes and train dogs against rattlesnakes and stuff. But it was too late. They were closed and they're by appointment. So we realized, wow, we're going to have to make one more trip to go check out the rattlesnakes. But that was pretty much the whole time, the three of us, just anything that caught our eye. There was no plan to go to the Rex Allen Cowboy Museum. And then I saw that it was actually around the corner on the same block. Because if you've ever been to Wilcox, there's no real town there. It's literally, you stand at one end of town, you can see the other end of town, and there's one street that intersects kind of in the middle that goes to the old railroad station. And we were kind of in that center spot. So you look around, you can see everything in town. So it was kind of like, oh, the Rex Allen Museum. So we walked around that block and the park. Rex Allen's horse is buried at the foot of his statue in the park by the railroad station there. So that was very cool. And so we go, and I'm saying hi, and I'm going down through in the K and Compost Mountains, and it sounds like a wonderful trip. Oh, wow, I'm almost caught up. People are actually listening to me. You've been busy. Thanks, Wayne and Trev. Wanted to ask Legends 211 where they were bulldozing the burn ward area. Did they ever finish putting in roads? Yeah, it's all done. We did a video. There's a video on a Friday. Did we put that on a Friday? There's a Friday video when we were at the rendezvous. We put a video out where we went out and drove around. There was nobody there. They have roads everywhere, toilets, ramadas, all kinds of stuff. And there was nobody there. It was absolutely empty. And we talked to the ranger a bit off camera, but you can hear me and him talking. And he was a very nice man. I felt a little bad about it, but there was nothing negative. It was just kind of like, what's going on? And so there you go. That was just before the rendezvous, wasn't it? Yeah, that was just pre-rendezvous. We filmed it. And then during the rendezvous, we ran that piece. Wayne, do you have a favorite Dutchman book between Eli's Lost Dutchman or Lost Dutchman any day of the week? I if it was Trail of the Dutchman and Lost Dutchman, I would be a little more kind of, because Trail of the Dutchman's really good. Barry Storm's first book. Thunder God's Gold just being written in the vernacular of the time with the whole campy, freaking pulp fiction kind of pulp western type of feel to it, and a lot of that Storm threw in there just to kind of, he's an author, he's trying to entertain and trying to get people's attention. He was a little too dramatic, but that kind of loses to Ely's much more serious book. I prefer the Bark Notes over everything, but Trail of the Dutchman, if you ever find a copy of that, is really good. I know the Dons of Arizona, I think, were very involved with that, as well as Barry Goldwater was. So made sure that got out. Not much in Wilcox for sure. Yeah, but there's, you can go in there and spend pretty much an afternoon. There's plenty around in the surrounding area. So there's some museums and different stuff. Like I said, and there's a nice little bookstore that's run by the research group, which is across the street, which is next to the Chiricahua museum. There's the railroad, and they have a lot of stuff with the railroad and stuff in the park for kids. It's a cool little place to stop, and there's 3 or 4 places to eat, so it's kind of neat. Cheapest gas we got in the whole trip, 500 miles, and that was the cheapest gas I saw. I think it was $3.13 a gallon, but yeah, it was like a Circle K, and it had only one pump. So you got one person at a time pumps, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So that was very nice. Do you have a favorite Dutchman book? Oh, that we did that. Okay, and then with the Legends. Oh, I caught up. Man, I'm catching up too much. So the trip was great with all of us. There was so much more I wanted to do this week. I had to run to Flagstaff to get Tyler and Sarah. And I did that. So that was there. And then there was a trip to Queen Creek, but there was a couple hikes we wanted to take, and we never really got to that this week with everything intervening and some other things we were waiting on. And that kind of was disappointing because I wanted to get out and stretch my legs, and because the weather's been beautiful, and I really wanted to get out more. And I was hoping to, I think it was a bit Monday, and then I was hoping today or tomorrow. There's still tomorrow possibility, but now the boys kind of, Trevor and Tyler kind of went and kind of wanted to get the Christmas stuff. So the tree got put up, a light tree's in there, it's lit, and then a Christmas lights on the house. Some of that stuff got done. So it kind of like swung that way as they wanted to do that. And I think Tyler wanted to do some of it before he went back up to Flag. And in fact, I think they got snow there, so he's going to go back up to a white Christmas, it looks like, or a white November. I went to the museum, and they are out of Ward's map. They were going to have Teton check his shed and call me. Ward's map. You know what? The Ward's map thing wasn't, that isn't the original one I think was in the book. I'll have to ask Ken about it. I got a bunch of them somewhere. I got a pile of them. But, I got 2 boxes of Ward's book, too. So they were, for a specific amount of time, they came with the book. And then there was another map that came with the book as a promotional thing. So there's a puzzle one for DeGrazia's paintings that came with the book, which was temporary. I think it might have, I don't remember how it was, but there's that one. And then there was the Bob Ward map, which has the numbers, which shows you all the places. Joe Roboto was very, very cool to me. And I have a bunch of the fold up ones from I don't know where they're at, but they quit putting them in the books because I have 2 cases of books and none of the books have them in them. But Joe Roboto made me one that has to be like 3 by 4 feet. That's this giant one, and sent it to me in a tube. But I asked Joe this many, many years ago. This is probably close to 20 years ago. And I asked Joe, I said, hey, do you have a copy of the Ward's map? Could you make me a copy of it? And I expected something about the size of the regular. And Joe sent me a 3 by 4 foot one. It was like, holy crap. So Joe was always cool about that stuff. So I kind of answered the NY thing. We'll be there. Will there be any more stories told from the Dons this year? Stories told from the Dons. Stories told from the Dons. I'm not sure. Ed, clarify that. More context. Are you talking about stories about the Dons? Which we can always do those because we kind of listen to what people say and then but we also look through things, and there could be more stories about the Dons and stuff. Or stories from us doing them at the Dons camp. So, which that can be done too, because we'll be in and out of around that area through the winter doing stuff. And that's one of those nice things is having keys, is that I can go in and just unlock the gate and go in, and we can film quietly away from everybody and do stuff in the camp. So it is one of the nice things about being a Dons. But yeah, the Dons had their first meeting this year, and we did outing. And it was kind of a quick year because there wasn't much. The outing is bang, bang, an hour Christmas party, right? Mm-hmm. And then we'll get into the new year. And the new year, we will put the word out to anybody locally. The Dons will be having a hike to Garden Valley. We'd like to have participants join us. I'd like to have a couple, Greg will be with us and I'll be there. There'll be several Dons that can lead. We can break into separate groups. We'll go out there. That'd be very cool, kind of like the Dons thing again. But we'll be having Discovery Camp too. So that'll be happening coming up January, February. Do you know if the Peralta mapped mountain in Thunder God's Gold is referring to Blacktop? I think that's what Storm wanted to believe. And a lot of people did. John Burbridge kind of felt that way for a long time. A lot of people considered it, and that became its secondary name, the Peralta mapped mountain. And I'm not always sure. I'm not even sure about those maps being really Peralta maps. I know the Frank Fish map is, because the Peralta family gave that to Frank Fish. So that kind of but we don't know. It seems like it could be. it's hard. One of the problems with some of those maps, and that one in particular, is they said there was 2 maps. That was one of the 2. And you're looking at it, and it's hard to judge it by scale. The thing that people always think looks like Weaver's Needle, if you think about it and you're looking at it from the right perspective, there is kind of a wedge shape, kind of that kind of look to Blacktop, and it's layered and tiered more like that than Weaver's Needle is. So that always made me think, So it's hard to say. Stories told at the recent gathering. There was play some Billy Joe Shaver. I don't even know who that is. Fubar. Yeah, we didn't do a lot of that. The plan is always to do those things. The problem becomes I'm trying to get Trevor to do that because that's Trevor. Trevor just basically, I ask and see who will do that. And then Trevor tries to take. I wanted to get a number of people to do it. And Jack San Felice, I wanted to get him, but we can always go over and see Jack. He's more than happy to talk and do stuff. He's kind of the mystery stuff. He's done with that. He's been done with that for 2 or 3 years. So no matter what you see, he's been done with that. He's asked to do stuff. He's got a lot going on in his life. We want to stop by and stuff and kind of let him do some stories about his life and stuff and whatever he wants to do. I don't really care. And we can even give him his own little YouTube channel and he can have his own little following. That's fine. Jack's all right. But you play rock and roll. This is like kind of like, okay, Fubar, yeah, you play rock and roll. Yes, I play rock and roll. I play rock and roll. I can play rock and roll by Led Zeppelin. Been a long time, lonely, 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 lonely time. But where was I? Anyways, we were going to do something with Tom Van. We kind of ran out of time because you got to remember, I'm the cook and I'm serving the chili and the chili dogs. And then I'm the host for the guest speakers. And once we hit a certain point in the day, it's about setup and getting everything together. And then I'm just constant in motion for about a 4-hour period, 4 or 5 hours. So there's a kind of certain buildup. And then I go from just kind of pretty busy to incredibly busy. If you were there Saturday night, and anybody was there Saturday night can verify this, the campfire at my camp, there was probably about 20 of us, 20, 25 of us. Saturday night, not Friday night. Friday night was a huge crowd. That night when we sat around the campfire was much more laid back. Shoes and Sal did a lot of talking. I did a lot of laying back in my chair and was pretty quiet because at that point, I'm just kind of breathing again. So it's kind of really, it's kind of tough. So, it's like, Trevor, can you go grab so-and-so? So we were able to get John. I wanted Trevor to get Tom Van. There were a few other people drifting in. There was a few people I talked to and said, hey, would you tell a story or two? They weren't. You got to understand, a lot of guys don't want to do that sort of thing. So it's like, okay, that's cool. A lot of people don't want to be guest speakers. A lot of guest speakers don't want to be filmed or anything put out. That's one of the reasons none of our guest speakers have ever been out there in public. Greg does an audio recording for historical purposes for the archives. But other than that, I know, but there's been a couple occasions people have videoed this stuff of people, and people have had a little problem with it. Thomas Glover has always asked, "Please don't record me," and that's before we had any YouTube channels and stuff. So we've always done that. That's just as thank you for coming up and doing the guest speaker and having a program for us. So we don't have a problem with that. And if so it would be nice to have an archive of that stuff, but I got a lot of Clay Wurst when he did his time at the campfire. I got Clay Wurst, which is in night vision because that was the early days when we were starting all this stuff out. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's kind of a nod to them. So I always ask if separately they would like to talk or a little bit of what they're talking or a couple stories. And, it's hard because I sit there with Ron or Shoes or Jesse, and there's stuff we could do. But when you're friends and you're just kind of like hanging out and talking, you don't think of that. We're just talking and telling stories, and we're not thinking of filming all the time. So that happens a lot, is that there's a lot of stuff. And that's what happened with Rick Gwynn, Ron Eagle, so many people. Tom Collenborn, how many times I could have said, hey, Tom, can we use this aside for a minute with Trevor and do something? Well, you just don't think about it because you're just kind of, when you get together, you're just happy to see each other. Hey, what's going on? And it's not this real deep stuff anybody else is going to care about. And sometimes it's stuff that they just don't want to put out there. So, yeah, sorry. So I don't know what Trevor got. I know he briefly got something from Sal, but that's like it's like a sponsored commercial of Sal. Okay, so now I'm going to try to of Walt's a sketch. Just found out searching forums that my theory lines up with Joe Roboto. Joe Roboto had a lot of theories. I got Joe Roboto's map on a shelf somewhere here. I don't know if that sketch thing, which is the thing out in Herman's cabin, had anything to do with Waltz or Reinhardt or anybody. I don't know. Reinhardt burned everything he had. Which part of the world are you at? Which part of the world? I'm at the west end of the world. Okay. I used to live in Casa Grande. Oh, okay. Well, you used to live there. I live in Surprise, which is way far away, which is out by El Mirage, which is north of, I don't know, Goodyear, Litchfield Park. It's southeast of Wickenburg in Whitman. So I live out there. Okay. I talked to Sal. Ain't that Saturday at your fire? Okay. He has some awesome stories. Sal has a lot of good stories, man. If you can understand, I mean, Sal don't lie. Sal, tell him if he's lying, huh? You tell him he's lying. You know, he doesn't tell no lies. Sal is an interesting individual and has led a very, very interesting life. So we had him one night sit up, and he sat around, and I asked Sal, I said, okay, where were you born? Who were your parents, your grandparents? Blah, blah, blah. And he told us kind of an origination. He was born, where he grew up, how he ended up in Cuba, how he ended up in Florida. And he talked at length for a couple hours, Trevor, 2 or 3 hours. Sal talked about his life and how he got around all the way to working with Chavez and in California with the unions. And it was very, very interesting because he was going on. He got out of his normal storytelling and talking things that happened in his life and about his mom and dad and his grandparents and a lot of stuff. Funniest story is his grandpa was riding along, and he looked over and saw this Apache woman and said, hey, take her. And they grabbed her, put her on a horse, and that became his grandpa. Was Ron Eagle ever filmed? Yes, he was. I always wanted to film. And he always would be like, oh, I got a deal working though, but you got to be part of it. Yeah, I'm going to have you part of you. You're in. Yeah. Okay, Ron, I'm in. And you always wanted to sit down with him because he kind of stuck to his thing about the superstitions and his treasure site. And it would have been cool to get it. He's such a nice guy. That's the thing. Ron always made you feel like you were one of his best friends. It was very cool. I always liked to meet him. He was always up, positive, just such a nice guy. And I always enjoyed sitting down, talking with him and everything. And he always had something almost ready to, he was, I'm almost there, Wayne. And I'm sure some people have filmed him and there's some stuff. But he did such great, wonderful things for vets and the people he do give you the shirt off his back. So Ron was such a good guy. You can say his theories and stuff were crazy and stuff, but we had a couple times we ate, and wherever Ron was, generally not far behind or not far away, Dave Chase showed up, so Chief Running Mouth, and I loved Dave to death too. So it was always cool being around the two of them. They always had such great, big smiles and just such good guys. So I really miss them and whatever. Okay, so talk to Sal, keeping a low profile, understand your Clayworth videos are priceless. Yeah, and some guys are just like that. So you want to respect them for what they want. They're coming out and more and stuff. Sorry, the throat is getting dry. But I always ask, and make sure. And then any footage I have, I try to clear with people. If I have anything from Tom, now that Tom's gone, because I thought so much of Tom, I'll always put that stuff up. Just immediately, long as it's always something good or anything with Tom. It's not embarrassing or anything, but I don't think I've ever run into anything I would hold back. But yeah, it's I'm still pushing on people and talking to people and hope people will, because there's a lot of regrets for a number of people that wanted to sit down and talk. And then a number of people that passed when we did Sunsets, because there's so much material there. There was a number of people that passed. Now, Tom passed away, and he was a huge part of that project. But there was a number of people that we felt were very important to that project and were unable to do it, didn't let us know. And there was a time there we had to do it in. And it was kind of a shame because Rick never got healthy enough. There was just, some people passed. We kept it what we thought was integral to it. And once it's out, I'll kind of describe some of the process, but I wanted it a balance, and it had to be a balance. We could not find a replacement for Tom. We did get Clay, but it would have been wonderful if it was Tom and Clay and then Shoes and Feldman, just those four alone, and then put Greg Davis as the founder of the museum, and that partnership because of Tom, Clay, and Greg. And it would have been so good. If you're asking sometimes why some people were left out, they don't fit in that category of people. It's very important to understand is you can say who were the guys on the highest end of the mountain. And I just said some of those names. And there are people that I'm not going to diminish or say, they're second rate or, they're not good. But I wanted to capture those individuals. Capturing Ron and Shoes and Greg, because Greg's always more behind the scenes interviewing people and stuff, and Clay. And, it was just really important. And missing out on Tom was just really heartbreaking. But we got Brian Lichtman, which was very important as well. So, and it was, it's a bit of a mix. So when people see it, they're going to understand it. And they'll be so, and then, at that point, I'll explain why some people were in and some people weren't, and why it was the way it was. We did interview Sal and a couple other people, but it just didn't fit at a certain point. Sal had been around for probably 40 some odd years, and it kind of fit. And then we realized we kind of had that kind of representative, kind of these guys, the guys that came in here, dropped in the 60s. So how it was. Okay, I will keep it as Clay, Rodriguez, Film, La Palma. You're in California. No, I'm in Arizona. It is even worse if you live on the East Coast, but researching is not localized. Researching the Dutch was not localized. I would beg to differ there because all the collections are here. I would say the 3-4 largest collections, which are literally house-size collections, are here in Arizona. If you've been through those collections or seen just seeing Greg Davis's, which is a tip of the finger of collections. There was the Tom Collenborn collection, Greg Davis collection, Clay Worst collection, Jack Sanfelice's collection. I know Rick lost a lot of, but he had a lot of stuff. I know there's a number of names that have pretty exclusive collections. And I'm sure Ron has quite a bit. I know Jesse has a lot of stuff, I'm sure, at this point. He's gathered and pulled in. Shoes, who knows what Shoes is? Shoes just has boxes there. Shoes, I don't think has ever had it organized. Who knows what he's got buried. He will tell me about things and stuff, and it's just like, wow, you own that. Bob was pretty good at when things surfaced and stuff and catching things. And there's a few stories on some really priceless stuff that he ended up with. And a few things that slipped through or got lost or stolen in the process as well. I got $1 so far, and I have 2 more tags. And I don't know what's going on here this year. There was something on the news. I'm trying to remember what it was. They want the heads of the deers. That was a weird thing. But was that back? I saw it on the news where they want the heads. kind of an odd thing. It's like, yeah, cut off the head of the deer and give it to us. Are you guys going to tell the story of the cachet of a briefcase by Florence Junction? Two people knew a hell of a lot about that in every single iota of everything. One of them's name was Tom Collenborn. The other one was not. Individuals had far more insight than anyone. I know a couple other people that knew very deeply. We did have a lot to do with that and film. Didn't we film? We filmed all the briefcase, the drug deal gone wrong stuff, didn't we? Didn't we film that? Or were you not with us when we went out to the air? Oh, no, you weren't with us? So photographs? I thought I filmed it. I thought we filmed it, huh? But we put a lot of... Oh, no, we didn't film it because we didn't want anybody to know what we were doing. But anyways, there's a lot of theories around that. We could do that story and it would be very, very in-depth from what we know. There's been a lot of people have put a lot of time. I really, before telling that story fully, would have to check with Frank, make sure he's good with it, and then check with several other people that I know have deep interest in that story before I would really want to go public because of the knowledge of what I have and some of what's happened with it. You do kind of want to make sure that's cleared. Okay, stay away from the elk jerky this year. I'm guessing from the rendezvous. I don't even know what that meant. I'm guessing from the rendezvous. Stay away from the elk jerky this year. I don't know. Story on. Okay. They want to check for chronic wasting disease, probably. Okay, this is one of those side conversations. True Purnell and Keenan and Purnell, who packed Ruth in the mountains, ended up with his map. And mining claims later got this from Thundergod's Gold. No. Okay. So, one of them claimed he had a map. They were actually down in Campton Crematory Cave for a while, down by Peralta Trailhead, down in Willow Canyon down there, which is odd, isn't it? Completely different area. And then one of them claimed to have gotten a map from, I can't remember what he called the mine. Have to research that a little. Have a lot of stuff on them, and a lot of people dug in them. They really had nothing much to do with each other for the most part. And definitely afterwards, one of them was in and out of jail at the time and all that. So I wouldn't put much stock into, Storm's kind of weird. It's either he's right on the money when you don't expect him to be, or he's way off base. Guy with small feet. I mean, he really wanted to set Brownie Holmes up for that because Brownie had small feet. And he just, Barry was Barry. You have to get Shoes to talk about him. There's a lot of guys around still that met Barry Storm and spent time with Barry. And it would be really cool to get them all talk about some of their favorite stories about Storm, because that would be cool, because Barry's definitely gone and more and more of them will be gone. And I'm going to tell you right now that most of them will be, well, Barry was drunk is how they're going to start. Well, if these collections are worth that much, you must have found it. Well, you'll never know, will you? What is the best time to visit the Superstitions? Right now through April. There might be some snakes coming out, but the weather's really good. It'll be wet. If it gets really wet, it'll get really cold back in there. And because of the flash flooding, it's not always, but this is the time of year to really spend back in there. It's the days are shorter, unfortunately, but I would say definitely March and April are really good out here because usually the weather's really nice at that point in time. It's about, for December, it'll cool off. January and February are two of the coldest months up in the mountains, and it will snow back in there and all that. So that's probably the best time of the year. That would be cool to hear about Storm. Yeah, that would be. I've never thought. You're going to have to remind me about that, Trevor. I'll have to make a list of people who knew Barry Storm. We'll have to do like 5-10 minutes of each person and doing some Storm stuff. Hey, Wayne, made it a little late, but there, Pat. But yeah, that would be very cool. I never really thought about it. And, at the rendezvous, there was several people that talked to me about Storm who knew Storm and were talking about Barry. And that's kind of funny because it was like, oh, you knew Storm? And then we just, but it's that weird thing where you don't think about recording conversations because you're just talking to someone. And I'm not thinking of putting a camera or microphone or trying to get anything out of them. I'm learning more and more as people are going, and we're losing people, that I want to get that stuff and get it out there, let people know. All right, my band is playing tonight. Gotta go. Have a nice weekend. All right, well, let us know how it went. When you're out in the supers, do you ever come across people metal detecting in unusual areas? In the superstitions outside the wilderness area, not really. It's very, very infrequent. In the wilderness area, I've never seen anyone metal detecting in the wilderness area outside of my own party. Outside of the wilderness area, I'm trying to think outside of in any of the BLM or State Trust or National Forest, have I ever seen anyone else besides Frank, who was with me, or someone like that? Magnuson, I would say rarely. I mean, it's been so, it's not something I see very often. And in the wilderness area, of course, it's illegal. So you got to sneak that stuff in there. But yes, you don't find much metal detecting out there. And there's a lot of hot rocks. You can take a pinpointer and a wash and just start sticking around. It's just going to buzz everywhere you stick it because there's so much iron in everything. Caldera volcanoes. Do you put a lot of stock in the Gonzales mine story, Canyon Fresco? Kinda. Does anybody know where exactly it's at, how it's set? No. But there was enough Gonzales and the Gonzales family and Gonzaleses that came through after the time, not knowing about Adolph Ruth or other stories, that tells you there's a tie-in there. So that the Gonzaleses could have been mining somewhere in the areas at the same time and been some relation or something like that. Yeah, very possible. I hope that answered that kind of. Okay, the metal detecting, band's playing, made it a little late. Where are my beautiful dogs? They were in there barking. They're in the other room. They're not your dogs. They're my dogs. I own them. Happy holidays, guys, and good luck. Thank you. Okay, that must have been Diane retracted her message because she found out they're not her dogs. No, well, open the door a little. Jackson. Jax. Bye, Dexter. Dexter ran away. There's no Jackson. I hear Dexter walking away. That's Trevor's attempt at a whistle. That was Trevor's. Here's Rocky. Jax. Rock, come here. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you see them. Okay, two of them. You don't have to keep them, lock them in the room. They're going to knock everything over. There. Okay. There were the dogs. Okay. Threw them in there. They showed up. Too much mineralization everywhere. Yes, there's a big problem with that. When we were at the lower claim, I was taking the pinpointer where they pulled a lot of gold out of there in those pockets, and I was going through it, and it was just buzzing everywhere, and it was buzzing on rocks everywhere, and that was because it's just so much hot rock, and it's just such a problem. Frank's pretty good about metal detecting in there, but he then on top of it, any place that anybody's been, they've been shooting, they've been doing everything else, so there's so many shells, and then there's bullets, and the lead, and it's just, you get pull tabs. And so Frank's pretty good at discerning stuff, but it's just so difficult. It was like people were a little critical of Frank throwing stuff down where the Fish Creek Lodge was. And the part of the problem with it is that whole area was melted down. It's just full of nails and everything metal. And people were like, well, why did Frank throw that back? You don't do that when you metal tech. There's 4 tons of metal scrap around there. I can't pick all of it up. No, it was just once in a while something would be a little odd of a hit, and you'd check it out. But there's so much stuff there that you've got to have a really good ear for it. I think there is a vortex at Forest Water. Did the windmill hike, and I couldn't sleep that night. Same thing happens to me in Sedona. I don't even know what to say to that. Vortexes. It's a cool sounding word. I don't know what vortex is really supposed to be or why. I don't know. Been in the windmill and stuff. First Water. We got that V-shaped, triangle-shaped rock with the hole in it that I thought could be a portal. But we sent Randy's son in and out of it. And nothing happened. He didn't disappear and shit. We filmed it. I'll have to post that someday. Do you know if anything was ever found under the arch at Garden Valley in the Gap Cave? No. I don't think I've heard of anything really being found anywhere around Garden Valley outside of petroglyphs, monos, matates, spearheads, arrowheads, burials, stuff generally like that. Some ranching tools and stuff because there was a Mormon settlement there. There was a battle. There was Apache Ranchera there at one time. There was a little battle or skirmish, I guess you'd say. Let's call it a skirmish. And who knows how that went, really, to be honest. But and then, of course, obviously, it wasn't very far from First Water, and they drove through there. Who knows how much stuff. But I think people have really went through there, and you were not there at the mine when I was there. You know, here's a funny thing. I could sit there and show you processed ore. I could show you 500 million processed ore. I guarantee you I could show you 500 gold bricks and be like, look at that. And then people say, but that's not really it. You didn't find it what I found. So there. Each to their own. You were not there at the mine when I was there. LOL. Maybe I was there right after you. Okay, metal detecting on state trust land is a huge no-no from what state land office told me, so be careful any of y'all decide to try. David, don't get caught. Yes, state trust land and places like that always have a valid hunting license because it allows you to be out there, but you can't target shoot, but you can hunt. So you can find your slippery ways along. I told Frank we need to build a metal detector that fits on your feet so as you walk, it buzzes. And you can walk around with your rifle and your feet can just float around as you're walking. And then you can pinpoint spots. And then you can go back and dig them after you mark them. See? I have ideas. Frank doesn't like my ideas. My favorite detector alibi is to say to my wife, lost her wedding ring, and I'm trying to have used that a few times. And the fish will always say, okay, see? Greetings, Wayne Gill Gold Prospecting from San Antonio, Texas, where every day is a golden day. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Sky Cloud. It's kind of almost like a sponsor at this point. Wouldn't work deep in, but has worked. Okay, Frank on a hot tin roof. I don't even know where that goes. But Frank's good, man. I will take it this way. You can pick anybody you want. I don't give a crap. You can pick anyone you want to do one of these little freaking coin hunts or coin whatever. Anything. You can hide stuff out there. You pick anybody you want. I don't give a shit who it is. Gary Drayton. Who gives a crap? And I will put Frank against him. I've watched Frank do stuff. That man can't hold a conversation in a car with me. But, man, I've watched him clean up and just waste people. And I'm not sure how it works, but something works with that guy. And he is so good. I mean, he can find the needle in the haystack, and he finds it pretty damn quick. So I would always put my money on Frank. And it's just from watching him and other people. And I've seen other people, and I've seen these groups out and watched other people, what they do. And I've seen competitions. And Frank is just nutty about that. And the same I would say about Woody panning. I watched Woody pan. Woody doesn't lose anything, and he's so damn quick. And Frank said it once, Woody's beard pans better than Frank. I mean, it's just Woody is so good at it, and you can get really good and then just watch Woody. And Woody is just like a flip, and boom, and then he doesn't lose anything. And then if you do it, he goes back through what you had, and he'll just find more. He's so good at it. So I always listen to both of them about this. The metal detecting thing is just a weird thing. I am okay. I'm always consider myself really learning about that, but Frank is so good. And I will give him that compliment that and it's funny because he'll always tell me, oh, so-and-so, Tim Saylor's really good. This guy's really good. That guy's really good. And I've watched Frank, and Frank is just mind-numbingly just so good at stuff. So I think it's one of those things that he really, really is good. And he actually has a humble moment where he doesn't realize it. Did anyone ever find out what those explosion noise of the rendezvous? No, nobody ever came up with anything. Yeah, it was really strange because it had to be someone setting off M80s or something like that, because noises travel in there so incredibly far, and they're so loud because especially in that part of the mountains. But if you set something off by Bluff Springs Mountain, you're going to hear it like it's just around the corner over by the Don's camp. But nobody ever came up. Weird, super loud. Yeah, they were real loud, man. And it caused everybody to kind of go, And it was way louder than the old Thunder Gods sounds from when I was younger. So that was an explosion. Any strange lights seen? No, didn't see no strange lights. Nothing. No, there was not on nothing. Seems like someone was trying to be cheeky to do that at the rendezvous weekend. Cheeky. I don't know. I don't think I had anybody. And there was a big bonfire group. And then there was a group of people that threw big rocks out in the road and almost killed a couple people. So next year we might have to kind of deal with some other things. We'll talk to, I forgot his name, out of the Donnelly Ranch. Anyways, I'll have to talk to him and kind of a couple people out at the ranches to see if these things just kind of emanated because of the college students or who, and then we're going to have to figure out some sort of plan, because they were burning pallets, leaving nails everywhere. They had that pallet fire at least 20, 30 feet in the air, and it was really just bad news for all of us. I saw a lot of whiskey. There was a lot of whiskey. A lot of whiskey disappeared. Some brandy, too, and tequila. Sorry to hear of the immaturity. Yeah, there was a bunch of effing nuggets. They did that and carried on. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't even understand why Pinal County or the Forestry Service, they're coming out there on Friday, Saturday nights and doing that stuff. It's just obvious when they're doing it, and they're doing it. It happened a couple weeks before we were there. It just takes someone sitting up the hill at the Don's camp in a police cruiser, just, in a truck, just to sit there and watch. And then when they started up, go down and bust the damn kids. They're not even being cool about it. They're just making a huge mess. And like I said, there's just nails, people, and then the rocks were thrown in the road. Tom Van's car hit a couple of them. Tom and Alan, unfortunately, did not get hurt, but something bad could have happened to them. And some of that shit doesn't need to be tolerated at all. So on that high and upper note, but we're going to get out of here because we've been here almost an hour, and I want to eat. So it's dinner time. Right, Trevor? Are you even paying attention to this, or are you doing something else? Are you on? You're doing something else. You're not even used.
I'm listening to you.
Oh, you used to watch, and now you're not.
I have it up.
You're fired. Yeah. You have it up, but you're typing.
Yes.
Are you typing all this stuff that's showing up?
I'm
You're all the people in the chat,
everybody.
just to make me feel not lonely. Okay.
I am everybody.
Think of the idiots that will be coming once the road is paved. Yeah, so, they won't be coming to the park. They're still going to be coming out to there. That's their spot till they stop them. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. But no, thank you, everybody. And I'm glad I hope the audio, I'll listen back to this. I'm going to catch and see how well it sounds. I'm going to continue to try to improve the audio. I don't know how much we can improve. I mean, the feed we got is just about as good as we're going to get. But, we could get a better camera. But it's about to have, do this as smooth and as transitionally as possible. Then I can have little buttons and push things and make little effects and things happen. That'd be cool. Maybe not. Trevor just yawns. All right. So everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for everybody for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Do appreciate that. We had a great time. You had a great time. We all have a great time. Everybody finish off and be safe and have a good leftover Thanksgiving dinner tonight. And enjoy the rest of the weekend that's left as we move into cooler weather and move into the mountains. Because that'll be the coolest part of all this is that mountain weather is here and we're getting to get out and spend more time in the mountains. So there you go. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Trevor. And we will catch you next week again, probably, because I don't think Trevor has anything lined up for Friday. So we'll probably do a few of these in a row. But next week on a Friday, we'll catch you next week on Legends Live. Thank you, everybody, and take care. We'll see you next week.